Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. This is actually Pro Wrestling Logic, where we discuss a variety of pro wrestling related projects, both old school and new school. This is the Superstars of Wrestling series for the 28th of January 1989. We continue our foray into Superstars of 1989 because, well, that is the year I became a fan, and I prefer old school stuff over new school stuff, which most of you know by listening to the 2,600 or so audios on this channel here. And we will add as often as we can. Tommy Krause and Alan Kinley against Demolition is kicking us off here. Of course, Demolition relatively new to their babyface run, a couple of months after Survivor Series 88, which, by the way, we will be covering all the pay-per-views eventually, but enjoy the television episodics first, as the pay-per-views are things that give me the most vivid memories. So a lot of those I could do reviews from memory on, so just kind of challenging myself to do a little bit more there. Axe with a huge clothesline on one of the enhancement talents. Axe also brings his man up after Smash kind of takes him down a little bit. A couple of shots, very basic brawling there. Of course, Demolition, one of the most decorated tag teams in all of WWF history, and they are, I believe, the first team to hold the championships for a consecutive year. So a big deal at the time. Of course, now guys switch them every week because, oh, it's just storytelling. But in reality, it's just really, really bad story arcing. Anyway, highlights of the Rick Rude and Ultimate Warrior situation from the Royal Rumble a couple of weeks before. Rude laying out the Warrior. Of course, Rude promising that he will win the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania 5, and Rude promising to take the Warrior out once and for all on that particular occasion. Then we see Mr. Perfect with a spinning toe hold, among other things, on one Paul Bryant, slapping him in the face in the middle time here. Of course, Mr. Perfect at the time, not the guy he was in the earlier AWA or the first several years of his career, but still a major force here through 1991. But hard chops by Henning, and ultimately a continual sunset flip into the perfect plex, cradle suplex, and of course a victory for good old Mr. Perfect. We go to the event center here, Sean Mooney along with us, and letting us know that in fact Danny Davis is going to face off against, I believe, George the Animal Steel here at the time, showing the contract of one Danny Davis. Davis, of course, still a wrestler here in 1989, although not very often. Talking about the Rougeaus and the fabulous Rougeau brothers and the Bushwhackers here. Bushwhackers relatively new to the area, coming in, I believe, in November or December of 1988, and they are a pretty major force. Then we go to Hercules against Tom Burton. Hercules, newly formed babyface right around the back half of the 1988 season. Burton gets taken down with a hard clothesline by Hercules. Hercules doesn't seem to really care one way or the other about his adversary, but lays him out nonetheless and manages to do so with convincing form, and takes a couple of takedowns and tries to choke him out a little bit. Hercules again not managing to do everything he wants to do in that run. Second clothesline, and again we go to the event center after a backbreaker win by Hercules. Hercules, of course, going into WrestleMania 5, the next pay-per-view, with King Haku. Then we go to Andre the Giant talking about, or Tito Santana talking about various other options, and Andre the Giant talking about wanting to eliminate Jake the Snake Roberts once and for all, and Big John Studd along the way as well. Various upcoming house shows around the country are a major force. Brainbusters against Tim Horner and Jose Luis Rivera. Brainbusters, of course, Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson. Tim Horner, a good friend of Arn Anderson's. Horner gets a couple of shots off, including drop kicks on the wonder that is Tully Blanchard, and again gets a couple of head scissors. Beautiful stun gun type maneuver from the outside by Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard working together. Blanchard and Anderson coming in October or November of 1988, so they haven't been here very long. They are going to town on none other than the team known as the Brainbusters, and of course Brainbusters hit off and drop kick under the chin. Arn Anderson by the other half of the enhancement team, Jose Luis Rivera. Rivera not exactly willing to take too many backward steps, but we do see a spike pile driver on Rivera in order to get things going in a good direction. Then we see the love between the Mega Powers. Of course, they're headed into the post Royal Rumble 1989, the second Royal Rumble in history. Just a few short days before, a little bit of dissension between the Mega Powers here. Also, shots from the Survivor Series talking about them managing to go at it against the Twin Towers, Big Boss Man, and Akeem, and just barely making it through to survive. Brother Love show here to illustrate the potential of a little bit of tension between the Mega Powers, but they seem to strive that off before the roll breaks. Then we see the Brooklyn Brawler with Bobby Heenan. Brawler gets a couple of body slams, shots under the jaw. Red Rooster, a.k.a. Terry Taylor, pretty aggressive here with his verbals that he is going to eventually eliminate the Brooklyn Brawler and Bobby Heenan from the World Wrestling Federation in an inset promo. Oddly, a superplex by the Brooklyn Brawler from the second rope on the inside gets the victory for him. Then we see singles match for Jerry Price against Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Of course, Neidhart is your star there. The attempted singles push that began sometime in 1988, on again, off again for the Hart Foundation, doesn't continue very well here. Of course, the Hammer Greg Valentine talking about wanting to get his hands on Jim Neidhart, and of course, they had laid out Bret Hart in the previous weeks, earlier in the month of January, I believe January 7th, and so Neidhart has to go it alone as Hart is still recuperating there. Big power slam by Jim Neidhart, getting him a victory. Big John Studd says he will be the special guest referee at WrestleMania 5 between Jake Roberts and Andre the Giant, also promising to get rid of Andre one way or the other in his own time. Bad News Brown against Steve Reese. Reese not very good at selling, as he just basically crumples down after getting hit by Bad News Brown. Bad News Brown, of course, a former judo champion, and not exactly in a happy space as far as any of this is concerned. Slams the guy in the middle of the ring and eventually hits the Ghetto Blaster for the victory. We go back to the event center, and Sean Mooney pretty clear with his intentions. Hacksaw Jim Duggan wanting to get his hands on just about anybody, including but not limited to Andre the Giant, among other things, and ultimately Jim Duggan still trying to get back from where he lost himself in 1988 here. But that'll close us for this particular edition. We'll be back with more. Got nearly 200 of these in the Superstars section and so much more. We'll be back with more right after this.